Good morning, everyone. So, despite the fact that it's early morning for some of us, or 8, 9, 10 o'clock for others, it is about 5 o'clock for me, but I couldn't sleep. So, I decided to work on some things for my lesson videos. And today I'm going to start a pre lesson. Obviously, my main lessons will start on Monday. They will be going up in the evening, afternoon time. Particularly when I have time to post them and get them out there. So, what I'm going to cover today is what made you decide that this is the path you want to take. I know a lot of people starting out will question what they believe in, who they want to follow, what they want to follow. And I'm here to tell you there's no right or wrong answer to this. The only answer that matters is to you in the end. Take a good hard look at what you're doing. Why did you choose this? Why have you chosen to become a witch, a pagan, a heathen, a Loki, there, whatever they call them, or just in general practice magic? Why did you choose it? That reasoning is your reasoning alone. And I want you to know that I will be saying you should be keeping a journal. Kind of like this one. Yeah, it's all fancy, pretty, but it can be even a spiral notebook. I want you to write in that journal why you chose this path. Why you chose to become pagan, witch, follow the magical world. It can be simple, mundane as, I really thought it was cool. I wanted to learn more about it, or I saw Charmed and I liked how they had things. But the thing is you must understand very important things. Magic is what comes from you and the energy around you. You can't just wave a magic wand and boom, everything appears you want. You have to remember that magic's inside you and then you're projecting out. You are your best tool. You have to remember that you can have a fancy, pretty little notebook that you spent money on for your book of shadows, or for your rune diary, or you can spend hundreds on stuff. Or you can use yourself and a chopstick for a wand. Or you can make your own, which we'll go over that on one of the lessons. And I will actually do a wand with you guys, because why not? The most important thing that I want you to keep in mind while you start down your path or continue on your path, whichever one this is for you, that you will be walking this path with suggestions. You will be walking this path as yourself. You can take whatever turns you wish. You can stop at any time. You can stop listening to my suggestions at any time. You can decide to strike out on your own without any more instructions if that's what you feel. You can do whatever you want to do on this path because it is yours. And as we start, we'll start at the first basic of why we want to do this. My reasoning for it, I felt a lot more connected with the spirits of the earth, myself, my ancestors, and with quite a few of the Nordic gods and goddesses. Was Loki my first god? Yes and no. It was Balder and Loki originally that were my first deities to me. They are both the two that called out to me, the chaos and the light. Go figure. But light has different meaning depending on which way you look at it. Some people look at it, light means good. Some people look at light means the sunlight. Or whatever. To me, Balder was the god of physical light, but also spiritual light. And the light of balance, is what I like to call it. Balder to me represents balance and order, where Loki is chaos and no, not destruction, because that's a whole other category. Chaos and neutrality. Why I say neutrality? Because one key thing you will learn about certain gods is just because one way portrays them as evil doesn't mean they are. And I don't even consider evil a purpose here. But just because somebody portrays them as the villain or bad doesn't mean they are. When it comes to Loki, he does not discriminate over who he messes with. He's messes with his own followers, he's messed with others, he's messed with gods that are on his side, and he's messed with gods that aren't on his side. He does what he does for fun. He is a no-holds-barred person, which he is chaotic neutral in my eyes too. I don't care what side you're on, I'll fuck with you. Is it always lead to injury or pain or death? No. It can be as simple as your hair coming up the wrong color, or you having a breakout, or you having just a crappy day. With that being said, those two deities were the ones that attracted me to read up more about the Nordic path. When I was reading the Nordic path, I was also reading books on the crone. If most of you know, the Mother Maiden, the crone. And a lot of things that I did for channeling came through her, the crone. So I do work with the crone magic, which is interesting, to say the least. And yes, it does involve some herbalism. But luckily, those things are written down, because you don't always have to memorize stuff, and writing things down is what your journal is going to be for. Get to have a journal for your own personal writings and a journal to keep notes in. For like your book of shadows, like it said on the cover. This is more my journal for notes and my journal for writing. Ah, my rabbit's awake. My journal for writing is this. Got all two dust on it. Calm down, Bella. But it's travel size. I've actually had to exchange out paper. Had to put new paper in it this month. My old journal stuff is in a bigger binder now. It's all labeled differently and it's put away. And all stapled differently. It's interesting how to do it with a small one. But try to get two. If you want to know where to get things like this, I got this off Wish for $3. And it has, you can interchange the paper. So your best weapon and your best tool will be a journal. I'm probably a duster because altars collect a lot of dust. But keep in mind to keep these two books separate. If you can't, that's understandable. Just have one section marked off for one thing and one for another. Your writing book for yourself and your thoughts can also be used as a dream journal too. And I do encourage you to write down your dreams. If you remember your dreams. But keep in mind, even with going through those two things that I did, what made me decide to choose Bridget as my counterbalance for the feminine part of my altar was the fact that to me she represented the same element as Loki, fire, and she represented a order neutrality as well, to where I have chaotic neutral and ordered neutral, to where she'll do good for anyone, doesn't matter who they are, or he will do chaos to anyone no matter who they are. So I hold those two. They both have fiery tempers. As for depictions, your deities are how you see them. You don't necessarily have to go off of, well, this is what this lore says, this is what this lore says. With the Nordic path, depending on the tribe, depends on what the god looks like. Thor has had blonde hair, red hair, brown hair, blonde. I think I said blonde already, I don't know. Wavy, beard, no beard, hammer or an axe. Loki has had red hair, black hair, blonde hair, brown hair. It depends on the depiction. He has been depicted as lanky and skeletal-like. He has been depicted as a bit robust, feminine, though. But he has also been depicted as... Wait, grab him. Oops. Yeah. Like the depiction I have in the statue, you see he's more masculine with a trait of a bit of femininity to himself with how he stands. But he also stands with muscles, the snake, and his wolf. And he has a pike with an axe. Where Thor will have just a hammer. If he has an axe, it'd be a small axe. He has a horned helmet. That is somewhat not typical of Vikings, but they did use them for the gods. The Vikings did not use horned helmets in battle. Chainmail, obviously no kind of leg tights, just bare leg chainmail with the belt. He has interwoven knotwork up here on his crest, on his belt and sash, and down on his boots. Every depiction is some depiction, and he does have long wavy hair. As for the color of it in this statue, I have no clue. Sometimes he has a goatee, sometimes he does not. Sometimes he has a full-on beard, sometimes he does not. This version of him has the beard goatee with the mustache. Is this the normal version I see sometimes when I envision him? Yes and no. But again, they can be any way you see them. Or how you envision them. As for Bridget, and what sucks is I dusted off my altar a week ago. So that's going to be another thing for Bridget. This is the statue I have for her. It was labeled as Bridget when I got it. As you can see, she has the goddess symbol on the back with the tree. I refer to it as probably a version of the tree of life in my eyes. There's the frogs, the fish, the sky. Then you look at her water table, almost a similar pattern to what's on Loki's belt buckle. She obviously has long hair hidden by a hood. She is walking on the water with the serpent on the bottom. And before you ask, yes, I have a thing for deities that for some reason tread around snakes in nature. But as you can tell, obviously that strong feminine vibe, but that strong independence as well. Some people might say this isn't Bridget, or that's a different goddess, or it looks more like Freyja or Frigga. Not to me. Granted, there's some areas on it where the copper paint has not been so time from time, and areas where it's been repaired. But it still works. One second. Do you 100% need something showing what your deity is? No. You can have something if you want something, but you can't afford something like this. I put green glitter in a drive and called it Loki Dust, just for shits and giggles. But the thing is it can be used as a quick reference of a deity. It's like, to me, this is their essence. or something like that, or like a piece of jewelry like a snowflake, frost giant, or whatever. I just enjoy the snowflake, so it stays there. Or even, it doesn't really matter. You can have a drawing or a painting or something like that, as well as a representative. Do you necessarily need anything showing what you are? No. Do you need anyone's validation of what you are? No. The only validation that matters is your own. We'll be going over other things like what certain jewelries and symbols mean, much like Hugin and Mugen here. What kind of stone is good for this or that to go with your worshipping, what kind of candles, stuff like that. But I want you first to focus on yourself, go into meditation, or just think while listening to music. Look inside yourself and figure out why you want to do this, or why you are one. If you're already practicing much, just come to these and going, you know what, I kind of want to see what this is about, see what they're talking about with their own path, and the path they want to help others understand. Because this is more of an understanding. I'm not necessarily saying you have to do everything I do. I'm encouraging you to do your own thing. I'm also encouraging you to try other things. But I will warn you, there are people around not only YouTube, but around places that will use and manipulate you. They will give you lies. They will sit there and tell you that somebody else is lying, or not to trust them. This is where your own judgment comes in. If you want to believe this person, go ahead. If you want to believe anyone, that's your own judgment. I can't tell you you should or shouldn't. I'm not going to tell you to believe somebody over another person. If you come to me with questions, I will gladly give you answers. But remember, there will be people that will try to pull you off your path. There will be people who will do their best to try to convert you to other things, or to tell you what you're doing is evil, or whatnot. And amidst of all of this, you gotta remember, you need to be true to you. And with that, I'm going to say good night and blessed be.